He lay flat on the brown pine-needle floor of the forest, his chin on his folded arms, and high overhead the wind blew in the top of the pine trees. The mountainside sloped gently where he lay, but below it was steep, and he could see the dark of the oil road winding through the pass. There was a stream alongside the road, and far down the pass he saw a mill beside the stream and the falling waters of the dam, white in the summer sunlight. "Is that the mill?" he asked. "Yes." "I do not remember it." "It was built since you were here. The old mill is farther down, much below the pass." He spread the photostated military map out to the forest floor and looked at it carefully. The old man looked over his shoulders. He was a short and solid old man in a black peasant smock and grey iron-stitched trousers, and he wore rope-soled shoes. He was breathing heavily from the climb, and his head rested in one of the heavy packs that they had been carrying. "Then you cannot see the bridge from here?" "No," the old man said. "This is the easy country of the pass where the stream flows gently. Below, where the road turns out, there's sight in the trees. It drops suddenly. There's a steep gorge. I remember. Across this gorge is the bridge. And where are their posts?" "There is a post at the mill that you see there." The young man who was studying the country took his glasses from the pocket of his laden khaki flannel shirt, wiped the lenses with a handkerchief, screwed the eyepieces around until the boards of the mill showed suddenly clearly, and he saw the wooden bench beside the floor, the huge pile of sawdust that rose behind the open shed where the circular saw was, and a stretch of the flume that brought the logs down from the mountainside on the other bank of the stream. The stream showed clear and smooth looking in the glass, and below the curl of the falling water, the spray from the dam was blowing in the wind. "There is no sentry." "There is smoke coming from the mill house," the old man said. "There are also clothes hanging on a line. I see them, but I do not see any sentry." "Perhaps he's in the shade," the old man explained. "It is hot there now. He would be in the shadow in the end we do not see." "Probably." "Where is the next post?" "Below the bridge. It is at the road mender's hut, 1.5 kilometers from the top of the pass." "How many men are here?" He pointed at the mill. "Perhaps 4 and a corporal." "And below?" "More. I will find out." "And at the bridge?" "Always 2, 1 at each end." "We will need a certain number of men," he said. "How many men can you get?" "I can bring as many men as you wish," the old man said. "There are many men now here in the hills." "How many?" "There are more than 100, but they're in the small bands." "How many men will you need?" "I will let you know when we have studied the bridge." "Do you wish to study it now?" "No, now I wish to go where we will hide this explosive until it's time. I would like to have it hidden in utmost security at a distance no greater than half an hour from the bridge, if that is possible." "That is simple," the old man said. "From where we are going, it will all be downhill to the bridge. But now we must climb a little, and serious is to get there. Are you hungry?" "Yes," the young man said, "but we will eat later." "How are you called?" I have forgotten." It was a bad sign to him that he had forgotten. "Anselmo," the old man said. "I'm called Anselmo, and I come from Barco de Avila. Let me help you with that pack." The young man, who was tall and thin, with sun-streaked fair hair and a wind and sunburned face, who wore the sun-faded flannel shirt, a pair of peasant trousers and rope-soled shoes, leaned over, put his arm through one of the leather pack straps and swung the heavy pack up onto his shoulder. He worked his arm through the other strap and settled the weight of the pack against his back. His shirt was still wet from where the pack had rested. "I have it up now," he said. "How do we go?" "We climb," Anselmo said. Bending under the weight of the pack, sweating, they climbed steadily in the pine forest that covered the mountainside. There was no trail that the young man could see, but they were working up and around the face of the mountain, and now they crossed a small stream, and the old man went steadily on ahead up the edge of the rocky stream bed. The climbing now was steep and more difficult, until finally the stream seemed to drop down over the edge of a smooth granite ledge that rose above them, and the old man waited at the foot of the ledge for the young man to come up to him. "How are you making it?" "All right," the young man said. He was sweating heavily, and his thigh muscles were twitchy from the steepness of the climb. "Wait here now for me. I go ahead to warn them. You do not want to be shot at carrying that stuff." Not even in a joke, the young man said. Is it far? It's very close. How do they call thee? Roberto, the young man answered. He had slipped the pack off and lowered it gently down between two boulders by the stream bed. Wait here then, Roberto, and I will return for you. Good, the young man said. But do you plan to go down this way to the bridge? No. When we go to the bridge, it will be by another way, shorter and easier. I do not want this material to be stored too far from the bridge. You will see. If you're not satisfied, we will take another place. We will see, the young man said. He sat by the packs and watched the old man climb the ledge. It was not hard to climb, and from the way he found handholds without searching for them, the young man could see that he had climbed it many times before. Yet, whoever was above had been very careful not to leave any trail. The young man, whose name was Robert Jordan, was extremely hungry, and he was worried. He was often hungry, but he was not usually worried because he did not give any importance to what happened to himself, and he knew from experience how simple it was to move behind the enemy lines in all of this country. It was as simple to move behind them as it was to cross through them if you had a good guide. It was only giving importance to what happened to you if you were caught that made it difficult. That, and deciding whom to trust. You had to trust the people you worked with completely or not at all, and you had to make decisions about the trusting. He was not worried about any of that, but there were other things. This Anselmo has been a good guide, and he could travel wonderfully in the mountains. Robert Jordan could walk well enough himself, and he knew from following him since before daylight that the old man could walk him to death. Robert Jordan trusted the man, Anselmo, so far in everything except judgment. He had not yet had an opportunity to test his judgment, and anyway, the judgment was his own responsibility. No, he did not worry about Anselmo, and the problem of the bridge was no more difficult than many other problems. He knew how to blow any sort of bridge that you could name, and he had blown them of all sizes and constructions. There was enough explosive and all equipment in the 2 packs to blow this bridge properly, even if it were twice as big as Anselmo reported it. And he remembered it when he had walked over it on his way to La Granja on a walking trip in 1933, as Goltz had read him the description of the night before last in that upstairs room in the house outside of the Escorial. To blow the bridge is nothing, Goltz said, the lamplight on his scarred shaved head pointing with a pencil on the big map. You understand? Yes, I understand. Absolutely nothing. Merely to blow the bridge is a failure. Yes, Comrade General. To blow the bridge at a stated hour based on a time set for the attack is how it should be done. You see that naturally. That is your right and how it should be done. Goltz looked at the pencil, then tapped his teeth with it. Robert Jordan had said nothing. You understand that it is your right and how it should be done. Goltz went on, looking at him and nodding his head. He tapped on the map, now with the pencil. That is how I should do it. That is what we cannot have. Why, Comrade General? Why? Goltz said angrily. How many attacks have you seen and you ask me why? What is the guarantee that my orders are not changed? What is the guarantee that the attacks are not annulled? What is the guarantee that the attacks is not postponed? What is the guarantee that it starts within 6 hours of when it should start? Has any attack ever been as it should? It will start on time if it is your attack, Robert Jordan said. They are never my attacks, Goltz said. I make them, but they're not mine. The artillery is not mine. I must put in for it. I've never been given what I asked for, even when we have it to give. That is the least of it. There are other things. You know how those people are. It is not necessary to go into all of it. Always there's something. Always someone will interfere. So now, be sure you understand. So, when is the bridge to be blown? Robert Jordan had asked. After the attack starts. As soon as the attack has started and not before. So that no reinforcements will come up over that road. He pointed with his pencil. I must know that nothing will come up over that road.